Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Brand Bosses podcast. We have a very special guest coming from Texas today. Ashley West is a Texas-based beauty and lifestyle content creator known for her bold personality and signature voluminous hair. With a thriving online community of over 1.4 million followers across platforms, she has built a brand rooted in authenticity, humor, and Southern charm. Her journey into content creation began in 2020 while she was pregnant with her second child. At the time, she was working as a speech language pathologist in an acute care hospital, but chose to step away from the bedside due to uncertainties of the COVID-19 pandemic. Experiencing a new season of motherhood, she began exploring TikTok as a creative outlet, initially sharing lighthearted videos, including one of her unexpected talents, yodeling. While the viral moment gained attention, Ashley soon pivoted to share her true passion, beauty and all things beauty. Today, she's widely recognized as the Get Ready With Me tutorials from the Get Ready With Me tutorials, relatable content, and expert hair tips. Beyond her digital presence, she's a proud wife to Zach and mom to Elle and Walker.
That's right.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm like, who is that? Who are you talking about?
Yeah, that's you, girl.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you here. You know, as I'm reading this, 1.5 million followers. That is actually insane.
It's wild.
Wow.
If you would have told me 5 years ago, oh, by the way, you're going to have that huge of an audience, I would be like, okay, sure. I'm so sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a huge blessing.
That is just so crazy. And so let's go back to the start. So you
Sure.
said, you know, you didn't obviously expect to be here.
Yeah.
So what was kind of that turning point where you were like, okay, I'm going to actually start to take social media seriously and
Sure.
give it a shot?
So, like you said, going back to the pandemic, everybody was downloading TikTok. Everybody was being silly. We were going crazy in our houses. I made some funny videos, and yodeling was kind of always, I grew up singing. So I was a big musical theater buff. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do my party trick. I'm going to yodel online and just see what happens. And of course, it blew up. And
So funny.
so I did every yodeling video in the book that I could possibly put out there. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't want to be known for the yodeling girl. Like, as great as it is and as fun as it is, I feel like I have more to my personality than just yodeling. So I stuck with what I knew, and that was hair and beauty and being a mom. I was freshly postpartum. I had my son in 2020, middle of the pandemic, rough. So once I had him, I kind of stepped away, focused on being a mom. And then I was like, you know what? I need my spark back. I'm going to start posting and just taking this seriously. And it was a way for me to be able to stay home with my kiddos. And it kind of just snowballed from there. I think the main thing is being true to myself and having that window of what it looked like in all facets of life. Yes, I can be funny. Yes, I can sing. I mean, I think I'm funny, but I can sing and I can do the mom thing, but I also, I love the lifestyle and beauty space. So
Yeah,
that
that
in
is
a
so
quick
awesome.
nutshell, wrapped in a bow.
Yeah, no, that was great. And so you're based in Texas. Are you born and
Damn.
raised there?
Not born.
Okay.
Born in North Carolina. Got here as fast as I could. I was 6 months old, moved to Texas, so I've been here ever since.
Oh, wow, that's so
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, Texas is great. We actually considered a potential move down there
Come
a couple
on.
months ago.
No, I would love that. Come
I
on.
know, I know. We would be
The
like
more the
getting each other.
merrier, truly. I'm
Yeah, but
biased.
it's such a fun place, and like I think one thing what's really special is we everywhere we went, people were just so kind and nice, and definitely had that Southern hospitality, which was really fun to experience.
Oh, makes me very proud, very happy.
Yes.
It's the motto is the friendly state.
Yeah, anyways, we digress, but it's
Yes,
yeah, great place, love Texas. And so you recently were at the ACMs.
I was.
How awesome is that?
Incredible,
Oh my
so
gosh.
incredibly fun. It felt like a dream. I was so nervous. It was my first like big true red carpet moment. So
Okay.
it was surreal. It was crazy. Little small
Yeah.
town me
It
going
must
to
be
that. It was
fun.
wild.
Yeah, I mean, I've grown up watching that on TV and just
Yeah.
you got to experience it firsthand. So how did that opportunity come about?
So I actually had Amazon or Prime Video, excuse me, reach
Mm,
out and offered to host us. So
okay.
it was, yeah, a dream. And I've always wanted to work with Amazon and Prime Video. So
That's
that
so
was a
cool.
cool deal. That was a cool gig. And plus, I love country music. That's so near and dear to my
Yeah.
heart. So was very cool.
Yeah, that is so awesome. So, at what point, from the genesis of when you started to take social media, more seriously in 2020, at what point did you
Sure.
begin to monetize it?
So I started about probably 2 years in. I had no management and brands were coming to me and I had no idea what to charge, what my rate would be given my following. No idea, shooting in the dark. And I met someone at a brand event in New York
Hmm.
and they said, "Wait, you don't have management?" And I was like, "No, am I supposed to? Like, is it something I'm supposed to be doing?" And they're like, "No, you need a manager." I met my manager, Nancy, and we have worked together ever since. She's incredible. And so she was able to really like handhold me and tell me, okay,
Hmm.
this is what we should be charging. It was kind of that window into the context I needed. So as far as monetizing, you have the typical like monetizing for views but really when the money started being something I could look at as full time, it was when I got those brand partnership deals. So it was about like 2 years in, a year and a half
Okay.
in. Yeah.
Okay. And you were on both Instagram and TikTok at this point?
TikTok was my baby.
Okay.
And I was,
Gotcha.
to be honest with you, I tried Instagram for a long time. I tried just to be the pretty, like picture perfect, curated
Yeah.
feed on Instagram. And it was so incredibly draining and exhausting to me. And so that's why I found comfort in TikTok because it's just everybody showing up as they are. I feel like it's been a huge shift, obviously. So everything I post on TikTok, I'm posting to Instagram now.
Hmm.
But I had to really focus on pushing my content to Instagram and really working at that. That was a struggle for me. So definitely TikTok was my baby and then came Instagram. But
Okay.
yeah.
Gotcha. And so right now is your strategy to post, like you said, everything that goes on TikTok right to Instagram, or do you kind of have two different approaches?
Um, it depends. I mean, obviously, Instagram has that static feed.
Yeah.
I am not so concerned with how pretty everything looks. Like, if it's curated, great. And if it looks cohesive, great. But it's just another audience that I want to speak to. And if maybe someone doesn't have TikTok, at least they're getting the content I'm posting on TikTok over on Instagram. So I try not to think too hard about it. I think once I start getting in my head and like really focusing on it, stories are my nemesis. Like, as far as posting on stories,
Yeah.
because I just turn on the camera and talk, and then I post it to
Hmm.
TikTok, and then I post it right over there on Instagram. So it's
Right.
really just a mirror of what I'm posting on TikTok a lot of times.
Okay, awesome. And do you,
Yeah.
not to get into the nitty gritty, but do you
No.
edit everything in TikTok itself?
So I used to film everything in TikTok, everything in the app. I was very not superstitious, but I was seeing a trend in terms of how videos performed.
Hmm.
So I was like, oh well, if I film everything in the app and I edit everything in the app, maybe it's going to get pushed more through the app.
Yeah.
And now I'm learning that's not the case. Maybe it was
Yeah.
years ago, but now I'm not so
Hmm.
focused on that. It's just I film on the phone and then edit everything and post it to both platforms.
Okay, that's so
Yeah,
awesome.
sure.
Yeah, yeah. And so now, you started off yodeling, kind of like we
Yes.
said in the bio, which is so awesome.
Yes.
And then you kind of migrated into beauty. And
Yeah.
so at what point did this shift kind of happen? Because I think, a problem that we face here at Brand Boss is sometimes is we have clients and they feel like they're pigeonholed into a certain niche
Sure.
and they don't know how to branch out. So I'm just curious, what did that look like for you?
So I decided that there is no such thing as a niche for me. Like I wanted
Mm-hmm.
my whole personality to I have multiple things that I love and everybody does. They're not just one sole niche person. I think that there's facets of your personality that everybody wants to see. So I love country music. I love yodeling, but I also really, really am passionate about beauty and the hair care space. It's something I've grown up doing. Especially in the South, I feel like, big hair is the thing. And it's interesting to people, like not everybody grows up with a mom that teaches them how to put hot rollers in their hair or what, what have
Mm-hmm.
you. So people really want to see that. And I think once you start posting all aspects of your life, it makes you very well rounded and it gets a really good feel of who you are as an actual person and not just known for your niche, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And I was actually speaking at a church this past weekend, and one thing we talked about was like your story has so many different almost storylines to it. And the
Definitely.
beautiful thing is like people can connect with various parts of it. Like we talked about Oprah, for example, and she
Yeah.
grew up, poor in this poverty household. And really what was kind of her saving grace was her church and her like education, her school.
Sure.
And,
Yes.
it's like we look at someone's story like that. She had abuse, she had all these setbacks. And it's like at some point we connect with her because she's been vulnerable enough to share the different
Absolutely.
aspects of her story. And I think that's kind
Right.
of what you're alluding to as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I'm alluding to because ultimately, at the end of the day, people want to see relatability and they want to see themselves in you. And you might not be able to relate to the yodeling or you might be able to relate to being a mom and being a
Yeah.
toddler mom or beauty, like I said, like the beauty aspect of things. So definitely, in that way, you hit all aspects of people in life.
Yeah.
Sure. If that
Yeah,
makes
that's so beautiful. But I think it starts with really knowing yourself
Yeah,
and being able to like have that self-confidence, which I feel like
totally.
you clearly have.
So
I've
sweet.
looked
Thank
at
you.
some of your videos and it's like, you just show up so authentically, like you kind of said in your bio. And I think this is on a skill that's developed. And so I'm curious, how did you was it throughout your childhood? Just how did you kind of develop this aspect of confidence?
I've always loved to perform.
Yeah.
So and to give you some backstory on me, I was actually going to be a musical theater major. So the
Okay.
goal was always to go to New York, be on Broadway. Quickly realized I did not want to make a career out of that.
Mm.
So I pivoted to speech pathology, and I've always loved helping people. So you
Hmm.
combine helping people with performing, and social media is, I feel like, the
Yeah.
perfect avenue for that. So as far as confidence goes, you fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Fake it till you make it. And then I always say, if you feel stupid, you're probably doing it right. You're probably doing it
Mm.
right. And I think some like false confidence is always
Yeah.
key when you're doing social media. Um, Knowing yourself too is very, very important, like you said. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And growing up, do you feel like you had these figures in your life that kind of exuded this confidence as well?
I did. Thank goodness I had my mom. She was
Hmm.
always super supportive, made me very well rounded in all aspects of life. You
Mm.
name it, any extracurricular activity, I was doing it, but I wasn't exhausted. I was in horseback riding, I was in choir, I was in
Wow.
drama, I was in soccer, like very, very well rounded. And so I think she wanted me to find success,
Hmm.
whatever that looked like for me. And then whatever I loved, we were just going to hone in on it and do it. And I had the female presence in my personal life was so heavy and strong. So,
Mm.
following in the footsteps of my Nana and my mom
Yeah.
and watching them with the beauty situation, watching my
Yeah.
Nana put in a full roller set, watching TV, like it just was very ingrained in me. So I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, that is so beautiful.
Thank
And,
you.
I also grew up with figures similar to that. And I think it does have an impact. And like even,
Absolutely.
you're a mama right now and you're showing up and you're showing this confidence. And
Thank
what a
you.
beautiful gift to pass down as
Oh, I
in your
hope.
legacy.
That's my hope and my prayer is that I can instill that. Like tonight we've got my daughter has a dance recital and I'm like she comes off stage, she's like, "Did I do good?" I'm like, "Yes, baby, you did great." Even like I could say like, "No, you missed your whole
Right, right,
steps." But
right.
it's just picking her battles and
Hmm.
I was the oldest of three girls. And so there was a pretty big gap between me and my middle sister. So there's about 6-ish years. So I
Hmm.
kind of felt like a little mommy to them, and I still feel like that. Um, in a way, they're what, 28 now. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, and I think
Women
it's
are
actually
amazing.
yeah, well, it's interesting because I think people can feel that. Like
Oh, thank you.
I've definitely looked at your feed
Mhm.
and you do kind of have this, I don't know how to describe it, maybe a grace that you bring to your videos.
So
And
sweet.
I
Thank
think,
you.
one thing that I always talk about with new clients or just, even on the podcast is like people can feel your energy. And it's like if when
100%.
you show up authentically, people feel that and they lean in and
Mhm.
it's like you have almost 1.5 million followers. Like something's working and I would almost like bet money that that is definitely at the forefront.
So sweet. And the key for me is I'm going to have off days. Not every day is sunshine and rainbows. And so when I'm feeling ick and I don't feel like I'm creatively not feeling myself, I take a break. I don't worry about filming, like unless it's something I'm contractually obligated to film or do.
Yeah.
I step away and I do things that ground me and that bring me back to myself. And at the end of the day, we are our worst critic, I feel like. And so I have a pressure of I'm posting every single day. I'm going to film every single day. And I've gotten out of that here recently, and I'm like, no, I need that time to reground myself. And when I'm ready to film, I'll make 3-4 videos in a day.
Right.
And so taking the pressure off of myself has really, really helped. And that way I can show up as my authentic self every single day. And you're right, people can feel that energy through the screen. So
Yeah, and like you said, it starts with taking care of you, and it's like,
absolutely.
you know, I just had my like Bible study this morning, and one thing we're talking about is like Sabbath and like having just time to rest. You know, it's like we live in this society where it's like go, go, go all the freaking time, and it's like sometimes we just need to take a step back so that we can show up our best selves. And so with that in mind, do you have a goal of how many posts per week that you aim for?
No.
Okay.
Nope. Whatever I'm feeling. Honestly, it's just I don't plan my content necessarily. I like to keep the pulse on things. You have to consume a lot of content to be mindful of the trends and what's going on. What are people talking about? But also, I think what's really worked for me is keeping my head down and not really looking around at what everybody else is doing. That way, my content feels unique to me. And it's true to me. And because I could get bogged down in really focusing, okay, what's working for other people? Like, what works for me? And at the end of the day, that has been very helpful and successful.
Yeah. So are you saying that you don't honestly spend a lot of time kind of scrolling and looking at other people's?
Oh no, I spend a ton of time
Okay.
scrolling and looking because it's so interesting too. And there's so many creators I admire and love following. But that the formula is for them too. They're staying true to themselves. I feel like if they were looking around, looking at what everyone else is doing, they wouldn't be as successful. They'd just be it would just go out into the abyss of social media and be like everybody else. And so it's really being in tune to who you are, what are your values, what do you love, and acting on that.
Yeah, no, I think that was really well said. And, you know, the value thing, I'm curious, how would you define your values? Like, do you have some sort of like filter system when it comes to what videos to post, what videos not to post, things like
No,
that?
I love that. I love that question because my faith is so important to me, and that is always God first in everything that I do. And at the end of the day, I'm a representative for Him. And so I want my content to reflect that. I think you don't have to compromise your values to be successful. And if I did have to, then I'm in the wrong business. You know, it's if I can't be myself and who I truly am, then it's for the birds. I don't want anything to do with it. So being very transparent, I always do my Sunday get ready with me's. That has been kind of like my staple. I always try to do that, show up on Sunday for church get ready with me's. And I think I really focus too on. It's hard to find trending sounds that don't have profanity in it, honestly. Or, you know, I could grab sounds that have foul language in it. And to be completely honest, I sound like a prude saying all of this. And I, of course, consume so much content. You're inundated with it. But trying to put that out, because I have a young audience as well. So I feel like, you know, if parents want to watch my content, they're not worried about having the sound off, or they're not having to worry about, oh God, is there going to be some horrible cuss word that my 4-year-old's going to pick up on and repeat at preschool? It's just really being mindful of that. And it's become second nature, honestly. It's just being true to myself, like we've said. So.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome that you have these boundaries. I mean, I think it's when we let go of the boundaries where we lose
When you
track of
compromise.
ourselves. Yeah, 100%. And so I'm curious, does that also leak into the brands that you choose to work with as well at all?
No, because at the end of the day, it's beauty.
Yeah.
I always have to think it's not that deep.
Yeah.
And I know who I am as a person. And so if it's something like horrible, then of course I'll be mindful of it. But I want to be respectful to everybody. And so I do my research. I do my due diligence when it comes to vetting, and management is great for that as well. So
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I work with companies that I only truly really use and love, and that's how I've gained trust. And
Hmm.
people can, hopefully, it's my hope and prayer that people can, when they get my recommendations, they can know it's like an authentic one.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's so awesome. You're building
Thank
trust like
you.
that. And because I know a lot of creators and influencers being in this industry don't have, those expectations or the standards. And so I think that's really cool that you live by that. And so in terms of just, I guess, brand partnerships, would you say a majority of the deals that you work on or brands that you work with are inbound, or are you yourself and your brand doing a lot of the outbound?
I think it's a mixture. So, majority right now is inbound. I was on the Sephora squad about 2 years ago, so that was really great to get that rapport with the brands. They
Mm-hmm.
kind of knew what they were getting in a way. So that was a really, really big step for me to get into the squad. I'm now an alumni, so that's very, very helpful. So a lot of it is inbound, but management does a lot of pitching. So brands will come to the agency and say, "Hey, who do you have for X, Y, and Z?
Right.
We need a Southern family. Who do you have?" And then they will just pitch us back. So
Yeah.
it's a mixture.
Yeah, yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah,
We're kind of dipping into that a little bit here at Brand Bosses, so that's
I
kind
love
of what
that.
sparks
Yes,
my interest because
yes.
it's a huge industry. It's a growing industry for
Oh,
sure,
absolutely.
and it's so fascinating to me. I guess the brand partnership side, but yeah, that's really cool. And so I'm curious as we transition. We've talked a little bit about family,
Yes.
but I was taking a look at your page, and you show your family quite a bit, and
Right.
so it's so fun to see because it looks like they enjoy getting to be involved. They
Oh, they're
enjoy,
hams.
yeah. And so I'm curious, how have you been able to almost make this a fun connection point for your family?
Well, absolutely. It's been that. And I've tried to be mindful about showing them on camera. And so I can't avoid it. I'm a
Yeah.
mom. They're going to be on there. They love it. I'm a ham. They're a ham. So they're going to want to, like, even for Sunday Get Ready with Me, my son is elbowing his way through to be
Oh,
on
funny.
camera. And so, of course, I want to feature them and let them have their moments, but I don't want them growing up with a camera in their face, and I don't want
Yeah.
them to remember me as having a camera in my face constantly.
Mhm.
So I try to have boundaries and be mindful. But at the end of the day, it's what we do. It's mom's job. So
Yeah.
it is inevitable.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And
Thank
we had
you.
this influencer summit recently where we had some panelists of influencers based here in Minnesota, and we got the question, and it was a mom who wanted to start taking her social media up a notch,
Sure.
and she said, how do you balance knowing like how much to share your family versus
Uh-huh.
how much not to? So I'm curious, how do you approach like that?
As far as balance goes, there is no balance. In my
Yeah.
opinion, there's no such thing. Something's going to lack somewhere.
Hmm.
As long as I don't feel ick about it and I don't feel like I'm exploiting them in any way, shape, or form. And I will always ask them, "Hey, are you okay with me filming this?" Or, "Hey, are
Hmm.
you okay with me sharing this?" They're 4 and 7. So a
Hmm.
lot of times the answer is, "Yeah, I don't care." Like, but there's going to be times when my daughter's like, "No, I don't want to, no problem." Or I can always tell, like, if she's not in the mood to film or be on camera, then I'm not going to put her on camera, and
Yeah.
there's no pressure there. So I think when you're in tune with your kids, you know what their boundaries are. And so
Yeah.
you as a mom will know.
Yeah. No, I think that was a great response. And what about your husband? Does he like
Oh,
getting involved too?
oh yeah, of course he does. And I think we're such a great match is because we're hams together and he loves performing, not in my capacity, but he's a good, I know I said there's no such thing as balance, but he balances me out for sure. And he
Yeah.
keeps me grounded. And that's exactly what I need. I need someone, and he's such a big help. Like today, he knew I had this and he's going to get flowers for dance. And I forgot about black jazz shoes. So he's gone to get black jazz shoes, but he still
Oh,
works full time. So
wow.
it's like that balance. I say it again. There's
Yeah.
really no such thing as balance, but it's finding that good rhythm to be in. That's a good word for it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that was well said. And
Yeah.
my husband is definitely a big supporter of mine as well as
You
I
have to
do
have
this
that.
mentoring. Yeah,
Yes.
you have to have it. And
Amazing.
like being where you are, which is like you're so front facing. I mean,
Mhm.
your life in a sense is on display,
Sure.
but you need everybody on board and everybody to support that. And I think it can be a really beautiful thing to show too, in terms of just inspiring other families to show up and capture
Right.
these moments. And I always think about it like, how fun is it going to be in 20 years to look back at all these videos that your family
No, you are
recorded,
so
right?
right. No, I love that. And it
Yeah.
really is. And it's my mom said it perfectly. She was like, if anything, you're gonna have all of this
Yeah.
documented
Yeah.
and you can look back on it. So yes, I love that you said that because that is so incredibly true. And there are things that I'm like, this is not content and I'm not gonna share it. And there are things and that is important, I feel like. Not everything needs to be shared
Yeah.
and save some things for you. That has been one thing that I have been more focused on. Privacy for me is becoming more important. And so you don't have to share everything. Share, of course, you can share the good, bad, and the
Yeah.
ugly, but you don't have to share everything. Keep some things for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, what inspires you? Like when you go throughout your day, like what inspires you to get out your phone, to capture the content, to create the video? What are some
Sure.
things that inspire you throughout your day?
I like to solve problems.
Yeah.
So like if I see something like, okay, well, I can't keep my hair big or I can't keep
Yeah.
my makeup from sliding off in the humidity or I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
got a hack for that. I can do that. Or
Yeah.
um helping people like I said earlier, I was a speech pathologist and
Yeah.
so meeting people where they're at and that inspires me a lot and encouraging others and encouraging women it's very important to me so I feel
Yeah.
like that's inspiring for sure and then of
Yeah.
course I love humor like if I think of a funny thought I'm like well maybe somebody will think this is funny out there and then it just falls flat yeah and I some of the fun things that have gone quote unquote viral is like movie moments or
Mm.
like I did the Devil Wears Prada at Christmas time
Mm.
and that kind of popped off and it was hilarious and so fun for me so tapping into that creative side and going back to my musical theater roots honestly
Yeah.
is a lot of times inspiring for me so
Yeah. Well, what's inspiring to me as you're talking about that is like, it just sounds like you're having so much fun.
yeah
And I feel like that's
exactly
what it's all about. We run social media for a number of brands.
yep
And a lot of times it's because they've lost the fun in it,
a
that they
hundred
kind of
percent
hand it off. And so how do you keep the fun?
if it begins to feel stale
Yeah.
I'll step away from it
Yeah.
and if it's miserable and I'll even tell Nancy like this is not working for me like I
Mm.
really because you'll submit concepts to brands
Oh,
and
sure.
you'll be like this is what I'm thinking this is how I want to approach it and for the most part brands are very receptive and they're like okay yes we love this creative idea go
Hmm.
with it but sometimes brands want you to follow that script. And I'm like, look, this feels ick. It's going to feel like a commercial and it's not authentic to my voice. And
Hmm.
so, and keeping the fun, like we just did, what was it that we just did with Sonic?
Mm.
For their unicorn
Oh, yeah. I
slush.
saw that.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
And so I think being able to, yes, it's a job, and
Yeah.
yes, we are working with a brand, but maintaining that level of fun and things that bring you joy. If the content
Yeah.
isn't bringing you joy authentically, then it's not going to speak to your audience. It's
Mm.
not going to spark that back. So I always like to think of it in terms of what would I like to post? How do I frame this up that makes sense to my audience?
That is so good. That is
Yeah.
so good. I hope that
Oh
so
yay.
many people take that away because I feel like I couldn't have said it any better. And so let's speak to the person that wants to start a
Sure.
social media page, or
Yes.
maybe that
I
they've
love
had
that.
one, but it's just kind of stale or stagnant, like you
Hmm.
said. What are the steps that they can take to grow or
Okay.
to kind of boost or refresh their social page, would you say?
I think consistency is key.
Yeah.
Being consistent, and you're gonna hear that a lot. Um, it takes one video. I always say that it takes one video to
Mm-hmm.
completely and utterly change your life. And I always post like that. Like this could be the
Wow.
video that gets me to 1 million followers, or this could be the
Wow.
video. And it is rough when you think you have like this awesome content piece and it falls flat. But that's just the nature of the game. And the more
Hmm.
you do it, the more you feel, I guess, oh, in a word, like sensitized to, okay, well, this flopped. And it's just like, you know what? It's just another time I'm showing up and people are seeing my face and they're knowing that I'm going to be consistent and they're knowing I'm going to be posting.
Hmm.
Um, Being consistent, It's exhausting. But remember to do low lift content, things that take you 2 seconds to make, and do some text overlay. It's just being consistent and showing up and showing your face. And that way your audience gets to know who you are as a person. And the more you have people caring about your story and who you are, the more you're going to grow, because the more people are going to identify with you.
Wow.
So I think at the end of the day, consistency is key.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And when you say, share your story, how do you feel like you have best verbalized your story online? Because I think that can be a very hard thing to do, right?
That's a good question. I think not being too contrived and really just speaking from the heart and speaking, not everything needs to be in one video. You can kind of string people along, like, oh, by the way, I was a musical theater major in one video. And oh, by the way, I was a speech pathologist in one video. And so you're hitting all of those points, but it doesn't have to be encapsulated in one video.
Yeah.
And so people want to keep coming back for more. Wait, what is she talking about? What is she doing now? Oh my gosh, she's doing this, she's doing that. So being diversified in those things. And that's so why I think niching down is so not great advice, because people are like, oh, okay, well, we've already seen her. We know that she's just a yodeling girl, and so they don't have the incentive to push that follow button, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're a great example of that, because you think about it like, yes, you are the queen of beauty, right, online, but also, you're going to the ACMs, you're doing these different brand deals, like you're not just pigeonhole yourself. And I think honestly, it's interesting because we get so many different influencers on the podcast. Some of them say, stick in your niche. Some of them say, just do your own thing. And I guess being in this industry, I almost want to relate to you a little bit. I think I agree with you even more than other people, maybe because it is truly about figuring out who you are, and allowing that to come out. And many
I still don't know who I am. I think everybody is still figuring it out, and that's the beauty of it. It's like who I am, or who I am now, is so different than who I was when I first started on social media, and it has evolved and changed, and people like to see that evolve and change, and they like to see your progression, they like to see your growth. So documenting that journey and showing the growth, and not to, I was raised to not talk about yourself, and ask people about themselves. But I just got word yesterday that I was named Beauty Influencer of the Year.
Oh my God!
So wild.
Wow.
It's crazy. And so I think back to, how did I get here? What was the progression like? Like it absolutely blows my mind, and I think you have to get people caring about other than just beauty. You have to have people caring about who you are to your core. And I think really opening up and being vulnerable with boundaries is super important. So people get to know who you really are. Yes, you love beauty, but they want a heartbeat behind it. And that's what I tell brands too. A lot of times I'm like, I'll have people come and they're like, we want to post on social media, but it's just like, we're just posting about our products. And you have to make people care about the brand on a human level. You have to give it a heartbeat. It can't be stale. You have to have some emotion behind it, and know your why and why you're posting. And so like behind the scenes, or like how what's the heartbeat of your business, or what inspired you to create this product. But anyways, I digress. But yeah, that's kind of my feelings on that.
No, that's so good. That's so good. And congratulations.
Oh my gosh, thank you. That, not to toot my own horn, but it's wild. Well, and what made it so special is that it's people voting on it, and it's not just awarded. And so I was a mess yesterday, because it's just for people to take time out of their day and to go vote, and to really have their voice heard in terms of casting it for a beauty influencer. That is wild to me. So I'm very thankful. It's beyond. If you would have told me, like I said, 5 years ago, me pulling out my silly little hot rollers or my heatless curler and putting it in for my audience of 300, that it would be here. It's definitely a dream come true for sure.
Wow, that is so awesome. And I think
Thank
it just goes to
you.
show too, though, like when you're in alignment with what you're supposed to be doing,
Exactly.
that the doors open and the recognition comes. You know,
Yep.
when we're chasing those things, I feel
Correct.
like that's when we get a little bit sidetracked.
Exactly. And I have said before, I'm in my season of yes. I have been in my season of yes for the past 2 years now. And if it aligns with my values, if it is a good fit for me, I'm saying yes. I'm
Yeah.
saying yes to all the things.
Mm.
And that has really served me well. And it's brought me on some wild rides and some crazy things. But I always say you never know until you try. You never know till you
Yeah.
ask. And those doors will open up if they're for you.
Mm. So good.
Oh.
So good. I feel like I feel like you and I are just aligned on the same page in many,
Yes,
many
for sure.
ways. Yeah, no, that's so awesome. And so let's talk about your community. So you have this mass array of followers on different platforms.
Right.
And so how do you engage with them? Because I think a huge gap that I see a lot of times when it comes to influencers or brands is it can be hard to, I guess, become eye level with your followers and your audience. So
Yeah.
how do you do that as a creator?
So I run all of my social accounts. No one's doing it for me. I am all hands on to sometimes my detriment because I am on my phone a lot. But it is being present and reading comments, as hurtful as they can be sometimes. The temptation to post and ghost is so real sometimes because it's like, I don't know, I just don't even read it if it's going to be negative at all. But for the most part, comments are positive, and if you lead with positivity with your posting, a lot of times you're going to get that back. Not always, but a lot of times. And so my rule of thumb is I respond to the first 5 comments that are left on my video, always, if not more. And so that creates a conversation, you're engaging with your audience, and ultimately it boosts the video a lot of times. And so I post and I wait for it to go live, and then as the comments come in, I respond to them. Not always, but that is what I like to do. Plus, I want people to have the trust that I am going to respond to them if they ask a question, or where'd you get that, or how did you do that, or so being present and engaging with your audience back is so important.
Yeah, and just showing that you're a real human. I
Yes,
mean,
exactly.
that's half of it, right? And
100%.
showing
Yes.
that you care because it truly seems like you have a service first like
Mhm.
approach. And I think people can obviously feel that.
And no, that's so important to me. And
Yeah.
it's because I wouldn't have a platform without them.
Yeah.
They're here, they're wanting to engage and respond to my video, and it's not just going out into the abyss of social media. People are actually responding back to me, and it's like so validating. I'm like, okay, thank God.
Yeah.
But no, I have to, if they're taking the time out of their day, I always try to respond for sure.
Yeah. And so you also are obviously a creator and you're an entrepreneur because you have a little bit of a
So
business on
sweet.
the side. Is that correct?
It's not mine.
Okay.
It's a collaboration I did with Eternal Muse, and they're based in the UK.
Okay.
And I organically bought their product, gosh, years ago, I think like 2021. It was one of the first heatless curler brands that I saw before the heatless curl trend kind of blew up. And I was like, you know what? I'm a busy mom. I love to have my hair fixed and done. It will make me feel like myself. I might as
Yeah.
well just take a crack at it, see what happens. And it was a learning curve for sure. But over time, as I got the hang of it, life changing. A lot of times I was showing up online, taking out my heatless curler, and people were like, what is that? What is that?
Okay.
And the brand started to notice, and they are incredible. I love them so much. And we actually collaborated on a box. I don't know if you've
Oh,
seen the
cool.
boxes that they come in. They're so gorgeous. They look like little Dior boxes,
Wow.
very handcrafted. And I would always get the comment, well, why would I spend like $30 on a heatless curler? I can get that for $3 on Amazon. I'm like, look, it's not the same. Just trust me. You will be able to sleep in this. It's soft. But yeah, so we got to collab one time on a box. It blew me away. The response blew me absolutely away. And so
Wow.
we were like, okay, well, what do we do? Do we restock? So we restocked again, sold out, and
Oh
then not
my.
to be like, but the second volume we did, I actually had a little bit of creative freedom, and we got to collaborate on, okay, well, what do we want the size of the roller to look like? Do we want it
Oh,
to be
cool.
bigger? And so like big curls are like my thing. And so we did a
Yeah.
volume curler, which is a little bit thicker diameter, and Yeah, so we did two, and that was this past one was that fall that we launched that. But they've been incredible to work with. So I will say, if you are a creator working with brands that you can trust and believe in, it will pay off for sure.
Yeah. And I feel like you're just so inspiring for so many different people. And, you have this entrepreneurial aspect to you. You have the creator, you have the mom, you have all these different aspects to you. And I just want to say, like, I'm just so proud of you that you took that
Thank
online
you.
and are sharing that with other people because no, truly, because I think it can be a very big undertaking and people underestimate how you are putting yourself, out of your box every single day showing up. And it's not easy to do, and it's not easy to monetize, and it's not easy to make a business out of it. But clearly, just even through our conversation, like it's clear you handle this very seriously. And I just really appreciate that about you and kind of your approach.
Thank you so much. That means the world,
Yeah.
truly. And I think, to what you're saying, what has worked for me is I think like a consumer.
Yeah.
I think, I don't like to be sold something. I do not. If I want something, I'm going to seek it out.
Yeah.
If I see it on you and I'm like, oh my gosh, her
Yeah.
blush is stunning. Like, okay, tell me the tea. Like, what's the blush?
Right. Right.
But I think if you're constantly pushing links to this sounds so ugly. Please don't
Yeah.
misinterpret this. People don't want to be sold something. They want show me, don't tell me. The proof is in the pudding. And that's my consumer mind. Like if I like it, I will seek it out and I will get it. You coming on and be like, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing thing I've ever done. The link is in my bio. Like sometimes you have to do that contractually, but a lot of times that's why I don't sometimes pushing links on stories or anything like that is hard for me because I'm like, I feel like people are going to go seek it out if they want it, or it's on my LTK. Like I'll post it
Yeah.
on there, and people know to go shop my post or whatever. But show me, don't tell me is my motto for sure.
No, that's so good. And I'm
Yeah.
curious, what other things do you see online where maybe you create boundaries where most people don't? Does anything else come to mind?
I think I kind of covered it as far as just maintaining like I try to be true to myself. And
Yeah.
if I don't want to ever post anything that is ugly in a way. Like I'm a representative for Christ. And so
Yeah.
I try to do that every single day. And that's who I am. And if it ruffles some feathers, then that's the way it is. But
Yeah.
yeah, those are kind of like all my hard stops in terms of.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you sharing too, because I think it
Sure.
will inspire people who maybe haven't created those boundaries or haven't
Yeah.
created those that foundation for their brand. Because I do think that is really important. And I also want to reiterate, like one thing that you said, which is like you have these different buckets that you filter your content through,
Sure.
and that is so critical when it comes to becoming a creator, even just like a solopreneur looking to grow their business online.
Correct.
When you have the foundation laid out, it's going to be so much easier to
Really.
work with brands, to work with
Yeah.
other people, and to build your following. And just to reiterate, I think authenticity is so key when it comes to becoming a creator
Really.
as well. And so let's look ahead to 2025. Okay, we're almost
Yeah.
halfway. I think we're almost halfway through at this
Wild.
point,
I was just
which
thinking
is
about that. I was like, oh
crazy.
my gosh. It's
I
almost
know.
kids are about to go to school. It's wild. Yes.
Yes. And so what are you excited for in 2025?
Like I said, it's my season of yes. So whatever
Yeah.
comes my way, I'm going to be saying yes. And if it aligns with my values, definitely. I don't know what it holds as far as goals. I'm not going to give you like some amazing goal that I have.
Yeah.
It's just continue being me, continue showing up, continue being consistent,
Yeah.
and not overthinking things. I mean, I think that is really key too. Is if you overthink it, and I am the worst at this, I think
Yeah.
it shows. And so just post away, and you never know until you start.
Oh my gosh, I can't even end it even better. I think I love that because
Oh, thank you.
it starts with just starting. It's
A
truly the
hundred,
hardest step.
a
It's the hardest
100.
step.
Yes.
But look at your legacy already. It's like you took a step and here you are almost 1.5 million followers later and you have this business venture that you're running, which is so awesome. And so how can people get in touch with you? How can people
Sure.
follow you, work with you?
Sure. My handle is Southern West Sunshine. It's a mouthful. My name is Ashley West. And when I created that, I've wanted to change that so many times. They're like, absolutely not. You cannot change that now.
Yeah.
You are Southern West Sunshine. And so when people are like, how can I follow you? And I'm like, oh, it's Ashley West. And
Yeah,
then
right.
they're like, is it Southwest Sunshine? I'm like, it's a play on words. Like, I'm from the South and my last
Yeah.
name is West. And then I want people to feel like the warmth when they come to my page, and they can feel the love, and just, that sounds so cheesy and corny, but it's
No.
true. And I go back to this little cheesy quote you see in doctor's offices: stay close to people who feel like sunshine. And so
Love that.
that's what I wanted people to feel like when they came to my page.
Mm.
So and then yeah, I have my email in my bio if it's a brand or somebody that wants to work together, and that'll send you to the team, as bougie as that sounds. But
Well, Ashley, it has been such a pleasure getting to know
thank you so
you.
much
Yes, and thanks for coming on the Brand Bosses podcast. And,
for
thank you
having
to our
me.
listeners for tuning in, and go give Ashley a follow, go give her some love. And, be sure to subscribe to the Brand Bosses podcast. We have many exciting guests coming up in season
Yay.
5. And I just can't wait to bring you guys on this journey. So thanks for being here.